Hey guys, welcome to our first grammar mini lesson. We're going to call these mini lessons because they're going to be really small, and that's what mini means. It means small. So they're going to be really short. But there were a few things that I thought we could go over and learn, even though we don't have a lot of time this week because of TCAPs. We still have some time to learn some little things. So our first thing we're going to learn about is called abbreviations. And an abbreviation is just when you make a word shorter, and it makes it easier to write. When you're writing, you can write it shorter. And there's only certain words that we can do this with. Some of the words that we can abbreviate are the days. And we've got the whole list of days here. And I know you guys have probably seen these when somebody has written them, or maybe you've even written them, and you have written them shorter. You don't have to write the whole word Sunday. Do you guys remember, or do you know what you can write instead of having to write the whole word Sunday? Yeah, you can just write capital S-U-N, but you can't forget the period, because that tells you that, hey, there really is supposed to be more of the word, but we have abbreviated it. We've made it shorter. So yeah, if you write capital S-U-N period, that means the same thing as the word Sunday, and people know that. So you can write that instead of having to write the whole word. What about Monday? Do you guys know how you can make Monday a little bit shorter, how you can abbreviate it? Yeah, it's capital M-O-N period. You just kind of take the day off, don't you? Yeah, you do. So what do you think? How are we going to write Tuesday abbreviated? Yep, capital T-U-E-S period. If you notice that all these abbreviations, they start with capitals and they end with periods. And you just write part of the word. Usually we're taking off the word day. What about Wednesday? Does anybody know how to do that? Yeah. Capital W-E-D period. This time you took off a lot more than just the day. You took off the N-E-S too and just made it W-E-D, capital W-E-D. What about Thursday? Very good. It's capital T-H-U-R-S period. What about Friday? Yep, you can just put capital F-R-I, just fry. Make sure you remember to put the period. And then what about Saturday? Yeah, just capital S-A-T period. So you can see, and I'm sure, like I've said, you've seen these abbreviations. You may have even written some of these abbreviations before. But they're just ways to make the word shorter. Something else that we can abbreviate is the months. Yep, all of these months can be made shorter. We can write them shorter and make them abbreviated. All right, and I bet, did you notice that something was missing? This isn't actually all of the months. May, June, and July don't need abbreviations because they're already super short. So you'll see that May, June, and July aren't on this list because you really can't make May or June or July any shorter. They're already really short. But the rest of these words can be made shorter. Think about the days. Do you guys know how you can write January and make it super short? Make it abbreviated? Yeah, Jan. You just write the Jan part and you make sure you put the period and it's capitalized still. So good. All right, what about February? Yep, just Feb, and you make sure you put that period there. What about March? Yep, just Mar. It's usually just the first three letters. You see how it's just the first three letters? So what do you think April's going to be? Yep, just A-P-R, just the ape. What about August then? Very good, just A-U-G, just Aug. What about September? Yeah, see, September tricks us. September actually has the T in it too. It's not just Sep, it's Sept. But see how they all start with a capital and they all have a period at the end. What about October? Yep, Oct. And then what about November? Yep, just Nov. And then December is just DEC with that period. And remember, you don't have to have an abbreviation for May, June, or July because they're already short. But you can make the rest of them shorter, and it does make it a lot faster when you're trying to write or type. You can just put the abbreviation, and you don't have to write the big long name of the month. That's easier, huh? Something else that we can abbreviate are sometimes names of roads. Like when you're writing an address or you're telling somebody an address, you can write it abbreviated. You can make it shorter. And you can also do the directions. I bet you noticed over here the directions, like if you're telling somebody to go north or south or east or west, you can abbreviate them with just the first letter, see? Yeah, that makes it a lot shorter. And then if you, like, everybody please go south, you could just put an S instead of south. That would make it a lot faster. But all right, let's look. These are all different names that roads could have. Of course, roads could be called a road, a street, an avenue, or a boulevard. Those are fancy names for roads, but they still just mean road. Avenue and boulevard. We also have a lane. Sometimes roads are called lanes, or a drive, or even a court. Sometimes roads are called a court. Yeah, those are all different names. And we can abbreviate them. So let's look and see how road is. Yeah, just RD with a period. And then street. Street is just ST with a period. It's almost like it took the first and the last letter, didn't it? It did on those two, didn't it? What about avenue? That one's a little different. It actually took the first three letters, avenue. And then boulevard is really strange. Look at boulevard. They just took some of the letters out of the word, and they almost took like all the vowels out almost, and just left almost all the consonants, didn't they? Yeah, that one's strange, but that's how you abbreviate boulevard, so you wouldn't have to write that big long word. And then lane is just LN. And then drive is just DR. And then court, I think, is just CT, yep. But notice how they all have capitals and they all have periods, just like our months and our days did too. So yeah, we can have abbreviations of roads. These are all roads. And then we can also abbreviate sometimes people's names. Like if you're going to call somebody Mr. or Mrs. or Miss or Doctor or Junior or Senior. Sometimes those are in somebody's names, like Mr. Hoffman or Mr. Gunter. Yeah, you could have those names, and instead of having to write the word Mr., I bet you guys know what you could write. I bet you've seen it before. Yeah, instead of having to write Mr., you can just write MR period, capital MR period. What about Mrs.? Like I'm a Mrs. When a lady gets married, she's a Mrs. Do you know how to abbreviate Mrs.? Yeah. Yeah, MRS. Very good, and that's faster than writing Mrs. And then Miss is just MS. When a lady is not married, sometimes they'll just call her a Miss. But when she gets married, she's a Mrs. Men don't change. They're always Misters. It doesn't matter if they're married or not. Oh, and I bet you know this one. Instead of having to write the whole word doctor, like I'm going to go see Dr. James, I could just write, yeah, DR for doctor. Oh, and then sometimes a kid could be called a junior. Like if you have the same name as your dad or your mom, you might be called a junior. And you can abbreviate it like that. Good. And then a senior is like if you're a mom or a dad and you've got a son or daughter that's the same name as you, you'd be the senior. Whoever's the old one is the senior, and the younger one would be the junior. So we could do that like that, senior. Like my dad and brother have the same name, and my dad is the senior and my brother is the junior. All right. So there's those names. And did you guys notice that you knew a lot of these already, didn't you? You knew probably the days, the months, and the roads, and the people. I bet you knew a lot of those. All right. So now we're going to practice just a little bit. I'm going to give you 5 of the things that we learned today, and we're just going to see if you remember just a little bit about what we learned. So for this lesson, I just need you to write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on a piece of paper or your board or whatever you've got. And I am going to say one of these words that we can abbreviate, and I would like you to write the abbreviation for each one, okay? Just to see if you can remember which one it is. We're going to start with the first one. I'm going to pick a day. Can you write the abbreviation for Saturday? So this one's going to be Saturday. I'll write the whole word, but I want you to write the abbreviation. So here's Saturday. All right, and for number 2, I'm going to pick a month. Can you write the abbreviation, since this is the month of April? Do you remember how to write the abbreviation for April? And then for number 3, I'm going to pick one of those roads because we talked about those next. So we'll go ahead and just pick road. Like you could live on Ross Cemetery Road or Carson Road, or there's lots of different roads in the county that we live in. How would we abbreviate road to make it shorter? And then for number 4, I'm going to pick the people. I'm going to pick doctor. Do you remember how you can abbreviate doctor to make it shorter? Good. And then for number 5, I'm going to pick another day. I'm going to pick Monday. Do you remember how you can write Monday and make it shorter? Make an abbreviation. All right, and when you have all 5 of these done, you are going to take a picture of it, please, and attach it to this lesson, okay? All right, good job, guys.